are the rookies and sophomore and juniors that have come into the elites and the BPT. Are they good with technology or without it? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the vlog. If you're new, my name is Steve Chapman. Are the new kids that have come into the elites and become professional bass anglers, are they just as good with the technology or without it? This is a question that's asked all the time. If you're good with technology, people will instantly say they can't catch them with it, or they can't catch it without it. And I'm not sure that is true. It is in some cases. I can understand some of these young men have learned how to fish with the technology. It makes them get to the level of some of these elite anglers, veteran anglers, at a faster pace. But does it mean they can not catch them without the technology? Now remember, most of these young men have been taught how to catch fish from their dads and their grandparents, who probably don't have the technology on their boats. So they're learning how to fish the traditional way. But knowing how to fish with the technology is something that all professional anglers should be very concerned about, because the technology is only going to get better as the years go on. And if you're not proficient at it now and not trying to learn it now, then you're probably in a lot of trouble in a couple years when it gets better. Now, one of the things that I have said for years is that I'm not a fan of forward-facing sonar. But if I was a professional, I would know it like the back of my hand. I think anglers that aren't using it are just getting themselves into a box and putting blinders on and not realizing the potential they could have if they were not only good at bank fishing, but using the technology to catch more fish, because that's what it does. It allows you to see the fish, allows you to know what they're doing, and it allows you to see their reaction to your baits. But it doesn't mean they're going to bite. That's what it comes down to. You still have to trigger that reaction. Now, it does allow you to go through a different plethora of baits faster. It allows you to see them better. But these young men that are coming into, and it isn't disparaging for me to say young men, these new anglers that are coming into the leagues are very proficient at this technology. It makes them better anglers. It makes them competitive instantly. But does it mean they can't catch them without it? I believe most of these anglers can catch them without it. That's just me. They've been taught how to catch them years ago from their dads and grandparents without the technology. I think that the technology helps them and boosts them to get there faster. But I think there is a learning curve. I think that they're able to go fish an area, find the fish, and find out what they like. Whereas in the past, you would go to a place and pre-fish for days on end. I also think that there's a lot of young anglers that don't have the responsibilities that other anglers have. I think when you have a family and a wife and children, it's hard to get away and do pre-fishing. So these young anglers that don't have the responsibilities as others right now in their lives are able to go out and spend a majority of time fishing an area or a pond and learning that pond. I hate to say this, but I think there are times that some of these younger anglers are outworking these veteran anglers because they have the experience already. And I think these days, because fishing has changed and the fish have learned what they're hearing and they're learning baits and all that stuff, I think not going and pre-fishing for as much as possible hurts some of these veteran anglers, because they're relying on their experience. And unfortunately, after 5 or 6 years of experience, some of that stuff can be thrown out the window. And there's a lot of anglers, veteran anglers, that go to a place and have that experience and are strictly fishing those same areas that they've had success on in the past. And I don't think you can rely on that these days. I think with more anglers out there fishing and more pressure on lakes and different baits and newer baits out there, I think it's very important to go out there and pre-fish. And I think some of these young anglers are outworking a lot of veterans these days. That's not saying all of them, but I know last year in 2024, there were groups of rookie anglers that were going out and fishing for a couple weeks at a time when they were allowed to, and learning those lakes and learning it as they had it that year. Because what happened 4 years ago is drastically different than what's happening now on that pond and lake. The lake has changed, the pond has changed, the bass have changed. And you need to go out there and pre-fish. But does that mean the young anglers and rookies can't fish without forward-facing sonar? There are some that probably won't do well if it is ever prohibited or they went to fish the NPFL. You can see a drastic difference in the Major League Fishing when when they're allowed to use their sonars and when they're not. There is more fish being caught, but the anglers are still catching them. But should the elite rookies, should there be something for them or for the BPT rookies that says you got to do this before you can get into the elites or the BPT? And are we putting so much stress and pressure on these anglers because forward-facing sonar is the biggest topic there is in professional fishing? Are we not giving the respect that some of these anglers deserve because we know they're scopers? And just because they're scopers doesn't mean they can't catch fish the traditional way. It's really an interesting topic because you could go both ways on it. I think there are some instances where the young anglers and rookie anglers probably aren't as good without forward-facing sonar, but they're still being taught how to catch fish. And they might not have the success that they have, but they'll still be slightly competitive. Because there is something for that young angler that can be on his feet all day and not have any issue with his health or physical abilities. Versus when you get a little bit older, like me at 53, where standing up all day on my feet is not something I want to do or could do and fish. I get tired after fishing a few hours. And these young men, take my nephew or my son, they don't ever get tired. But does that mean they can't catch fish with sonar or without it? You can see it both ways at times. But I want to know what you think. So comment below and tell me what you think. Can they catch it with them or without it? Does it matter? Should there be a league? Should they have tournaments that are not forward-facing sonar based or dominant? Should these young anglers go join the NPFL and prove that they can catch them? So comment below and tell me what you think. Thanks to all the new subscribers and members and everyone who's interactive on the channel. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for everyone checking in on me. It's a weird, rough time. It's a rough time. At some point I'll go into it, but I'm still not comfortable. But I really do appreciate everybody, so thank you. But if you're not a subscriber, click that button. It's quick, easy, and it's free. So click that button and become part of the team and family. Remember, take a kid fishing, tight lines, cheers, and get your fish on.